Morning, everyone. The 9 non-negotiables to stop thinking about food and body image 24/7. So these are things that I have done myself to get to full recovery and not get stuck in pseudo recovery, and also what I help my clients to do. Oftentimes people forget many of these 9, or they get too afraid to explore some of those 9 things. And what happens is they get stuck in this place that might be better than where they were at with some of their behaviors, but food and body image still take up 50%, 70% of their brain space. And that's still just a ton of brain space taking up so much of your life. So if you are moving through recovery and you want to get to full freedom with food and body image, these are the 9 things that you have to do. They're non-negotiable. You have to fully explore them to get to full freedom with food and body image. And also, these things are absolutely accessible for you. You can start practicing them today. They're not far-fetched things. They're not expensive things. These are things that you can start doing right now in every moment, every day for your recovery, that is going to bring you more and more freedom and is going to add up to bring you to full recovery from food and body image. So today I'm going to walk you through these 9, but I'm also going to give you a starting point and talk to you about what I do with my clients for these 9 non-negotiables, so that today you can start practicing these things and implementing them right now to start getting more freedom and joy with your relationship with food and body and also your life. Okay, so the first one that we can start with today is body image work, but body image work to its fullest, not just skipping ahead to finding body confidence and to feeling confident and comfortable but in your body, but actually building a whole new relationship where you're friends with your body, you trust your body, and you do all of the deep rooted work that needs to be done for yourself as an individual, because it's different for everyone, to do that thorough body image work. You have to rewire beliefs. You have to re-educate yourself. You have to go back to your garden of what is body image for you and start to pick out all the weeds that were planted, because really we were given this relationship with our body upon birth that is trusting, is compassionate, is intuitive. But what happens with this garden is where we get a whole bunch of weeds that are planted by other people. And we also learn to cope through body image in order to survive in the environment that we were in. And a lot of these things aren't ours, or they no longer serve us. And so we really have to go back and explore thoroughly why our relationship with our body is the way it is, and then undo and redo. These things are not only some of the deep therapy work, but it's also all of the ways in which we treat our body, talk to our body, feed our body, rest our body, have a dialogue with our body. These are all behavior changes we need to implement, because all of these tiny behaviors, from shaming ourselves in the mirror to comparing ourselves to others to neglecting when your body is saying that it's hungry and needs food, or allowing your body to have all foods that it might want in order to thrive and enjoy life. These are all behavior shifts that we need to have. And so when we are looking at these thousands of little behaviors, we need to make sure they are coming from a place of body respect, and choosing body respect to get to acceptance and confidence. So body image, I wish I had a dry erase, is like an iceberg, and what you see at the tip of the iceberg is just the beginning of body image work and just what people usually see at the surface. But the work that I do with my clients and that I've done with myself to really reestablish a healthy relationship with body image, and to deeply explore and heal your relationship with body image and transform it, is to go to all of the roots underneath, everything underneath that iceberg, that is where the true healing begins. And it's absolutely possible. It's the way it was meant to be. Okay, the next one is something that's so important, but most people actually think is something that they shouldn't be doing, and that actually doesn't give them the willpower if they let it go. And this is self-compassion. So many people in recovery are extremely hard on themselves, very perfectionistic, shaming and critical. And they lack a lot of self-compassion and patience, and don't have a lot of mindful curiosity that is also compassionate about why they're doing what they're doing, what they're struggling with. And so they just beat themselves down and expect perfectionism, expect everything to go as planned, no failures, no bumps. They expect to get there like this. And that actually is digging them deeper and deeper into stuckness. And that is also allowing those disordered eating behaviors to, thrive in that environment. So self-compassion is just crucial, not only to full recovery, but every step along the way. You have to be coming at this journey from a place of patience, compassion, empathy, allowing yourself to be curious with yourself, try and understand, be patient, be nurturing, be kind to yourself when you do slip up or use a behavior or are struggling. And this is just huge every step of the way, and really propels people forward in their recovery when they start allowing themselves to make mistakes and get curious about it and treat themselves with kindness after a binge or after using any kind of behavior. It really just is a non-negotiable. This is something that I found really early working with clients and myself that was just a turning point with how they navigated recovery. So with clients, I really work with them on shifting from that inner critic to the inner ally and getting compassionate with the critic, understanding why it's there, how it's serving you. So doing a lot of that parts work is really important and something that I love working with clients on. And one thing or a few things you can do right now to start practicing is going to be, first, build awareness. How do you speak to yourself? Actually write it out or speak it out loud and notice how you're speaking to yourself in moments of struggle, and really all moments of your day navigating recovery. And lastly, you have to know that making mistakes and failing is an essential part of the journey. And so this is a great opportunity to lean in and get curious to then help you to get to the next steps in your recovery. Great opportunity. When I'm working with clients and they're failing or making mistakes, it is a time to get curious and say, what is this teaching me? What is this trying to tell me? What can I learn from this? And when you are being that curious, compassionate observer that can take those hard experiences, show yourself kindness, and then ask, what are you trying to teach me? That propels you forward. If people could remove the shame, the critic, and have self-compassion, recovery would happen a lot sooner for people. And disordered eating and eating disorders, there'd be a lot less of them. It's just essential and crucial. So when you are in recovery, when you're trying to get to full food and body image freedom, tell yourself, on this journey, I'm going to fail and I'm going to make mistakes, and bring them on. And that is what is going to help me to actually get to full recovery, because that's the truth. In order to reach full freedom with food and body image and get to full recovery, you need deep, unwavering trust with all foods in all situations. And so what does that mean exactly? Of course, we know that we need to eliminate these disordered behaviors, but what does that actually mean? And where do we want to go with our relationship with food? What I work with my clients, what we work on is to get to full freedom and full trust with food. We were born, like think of when you were younger, you had trust in food. Food was neutral. You enjoyed all foods were there. And from what you can remember, if you can remember back then and how you felt around food, it was really just a part of life. There was no distrust around certain food items. There was it was really more neutrality, and food was just present. You ate when you were hungry, you ate foods you enjoyed, you ate foods that were given to you, you had tons of different situations around food. And then somewhere along the line, when disordered eating started developing and these really confusing messages, we started receiving them as well from diet culture, and we started using food for coping, whether that is through binging or restriction or certain behaviors. We really started to distrust food. And the more we fed into that distrust, the more distrusting we became of lots of different situations, until we no longer know how much to eat, what to eat, when to eat, and are terrified of these different situations. And then they tied into our relationship with body image as well. And so when I say we need to, in order to get to full recovery, we need to fully trust food, what I mean is we want to have a relationship with food that is neutral and not charged up. What does that mean? That means that when we are presented in different food situations and when we navigate different types of food, it feels neutral. It doesn't feel like we are out of control. We don't shame ourselves. We don't label it as good or bad, but we can navigate food situations from a place where we feel in control, and it feels intuitive and it feels respectful, and we are navigating it from an internal place, a compassionate place, a respectful place. But in order to get to that full trust, we have to challenge the disordered eating behaviors, those thoughts, and all of the distrust, which means we need to put ourselves in all these situations to get through those exposures, to then feel in control, to be able to have chips or ice cream in the house without feeling like we're going to binge on them, to be able to navigate those choices around building our plate and our meals and our snacks and our joyful eating, and be able to have all those foods in the house without them having that pull, but with being able to come at it from a compassionate, trusting, respectful, healthy, holistically, mind, body, and soul way of eating. And you can absolutely get there. You just really need to make sure there's no stone unturned when it comes to that food trust, because just a little bit of distrust around certain foods or certain food situations that you are too uncomfortable to navigate and you put aside can creep into all of those other food rules and keep that 24/7 thinking about food really alive. So make sure you're navigating all the ins and outs, leaving no stone unturned, so you can turn that corner and get to that place where you're like, wow, food is neutral, food is easy, and now I can just come from an intuitive place to make my choices and feel completely in control and good and at ease when I'm navigating food. Ending all disordered behaviors, even the sneaky ones, and all of them. So I'm talking body image shaming behaviors, food behaviors, exercise behaviors, and all of the rules and behaviors within all of those categories. So it's a lot of behaviors when you really think about it. You want to break all of the rules and make sure they're all extinguished and done. And the reason for that is because when we're talking about getting to full recovery, full freedom from those thoughts of food and body image, what keeps around those beliefs and those thoughts are those sneaky behaviors that keep the disordered eating and body shaming alive. And so if we extinguish them, we can really turn a corner where we have new beliefs, we have new thoughts, and we don't have any pull toward the disordered eating and body shame. And if we do, we can quickly get back on course. When I start working with clients and they've come a long way, and maybe they've really stopped doing a lot of disordered eating behaviors, and then we comb through all of them, we find that there are so many sneaky things keeping them around, which is why they still don't feel great. They still don't feel like they have the freedom or the control, and their life is still being taken up so much by food and body image thoughts and anxieties. So we have to make sure we extinguish and get rid of all of the sneaky rules when it comes to food, body image, and exercise, and anything else around the control and manipulation with those things. And so what you can start with today is make a thorough list. Let's take food, for example. What are your food rules and rituals? How much do you allow yourself? What are you saying to yourself when you actually are allowing yourself to have those foods? Because believe it or not, when you allow yourself to have the cupcake, but you shame yourself, that is still restrictive thinking and restriction. And so really write down every way in which disordered eating shows up, or in which you have a rule or a shame or a ritual around when it comes to food events, and your relationship with food in general. Write them down, get cozy with them, and start breaking those rules and confronting all of those disordered behaviors so you can start extinguishing them. We have to get rid of them all. That's a sure path to having freedom from that tie that disordered eating and body shaming has to you. A sense of life outside body image and food. The whole purpose of decreasing the food and body image noise and reaching full recovery with that is so we can experience all that life has to offer and all you want in life. When you're taking 100% of your brain space up for food and body image and exercise and navigating that, you are saying you're not giving that energy to life and all it has to offer, and relationships and hobbies and careers and thriving just in all those other avenues of life. And so one part of recovery that's so important throughout the whole process is to work on decreasing the focus on food and body image and put that focus in the other areas of life. Build those to be fuller. Allow yourself to expand in those areas. You want to build identity outside of the identity that maybe you feel like you've had in a lot of ways, which is, food, body, athletics, and exercise. Freedom means more living, not just eating differently, and not just being hyper-focused on your body, but in doing those things differently, but living a fuller life. So an easy way to start this is to start asking yourself, if I wasn't to be spending this much time on food and body image, what would I be spending my time doing? Where are my interests? Or where would I want to spend more time? Or how is food and body image impacting these other areas of life, your hobbies, your relationships? Because we know they absolutely pull from those things and can negatively impact those areas. So how are they doing so? And how can you change that? How can you work to get uncomfortable and make changes in those areas to strengthen those values you have in life, those areas you want to spend time, and build in more areas that you might not have time for right now? Understanding the way you cope with emotions and finding the ways to cope with emotions that are healthy, sustainable, compassionate, and that actually work. So coping with food and body behaviors are very unconscious, and they're developed from a really resilient place. So we develop these behaviors of overeating, binging, restricting, hyper focus on our food, spiraling, analyzing, assessing, body checking all the time, looking in every single reflection that you possibly can, hopping on the scale. All of those things, whether you are conscious of it or not, are very typically developed in order to feel in control, to manage your emotions, to cope with hard things, to be able to get through tough times. And so oftentimes with my clients,
I will ask them to consider the why behind their actions and to really dive deep and to pay attention to their emotions and how they're responding. Because very, very often, these parts of us, these disordered eating parts of us, were developed in order to cope with hard things, and they became part of us. And then they feel very, very necessary for emotional regulation when they're never actually going to make us feel better or really handle those emotions and let us process through them in a healthy way, and get to a better spot. It's going to be making life harder because they're maladaptive coping. They may feel like they work, they may feel like they keep us safe, but they're actually a false sense of safety, a false sense of coping, and coping that actually ends up making us feel worse, right? Because we know that restriction actually isn't solving any problems. We know that binging is making us feel worse. We know that constantly obsessing over the scale is making us feel so anxious, right? So they're not actually helping us to feel better, although very resiliently they popped up to take care of potentially times in your life where you had no other way of coping. You had no understanding or education around the correct way of coping, no support there. But now is the time to ask yourself, are these ways of coping, are they actually doing what we want them to do? Are they actually supportive? Are they actually taking care of these emotions and taking care of ourselves? So it's something you can start doing right now, is raise awareness around how these behaviors make you feel, why you are doing those behaviors, dive deep, and just raise some general awareness around it, because you deserve to take care of yourself in healthy ways that actually get you to where you're trying to go. Body trust. Trust of your body. Trust that it's telling you what it needs to be telling you, that it's communicating important things, that it's got your back, that you can trust where it needs to go with your weight. Body trust. Now, we talked body image work and we talked food trust, and this is very different and very, very important, very much a non-negotiable.
Nothing going on here.
It's my afternoon coffee.
It tastes better when it's yours.
It really? So, yes, so much non-negotiable, and it's so powerful when people are doing this work around body trust, because once you start to understand, wow, my body has my back, wow, I can let go of control, it's got me, oh man, we need to work together, there's no other option. It's very freeing. There's some grief in it, of course, because we spend our whole life, and those decades trying to control it and being told we need to control and manipulate it, and that we can maybe have this ideal body that's being portrayed in the media. That is not our body. And so there's grief in letting that go. There's so much grief in trying to manipulate and control it for so many years, and losing that time. But it's also just so beautiful to be able to come home to your body and be friends with it, and being able to work together, knowing that it's got your back, it's doing what it needs to do, it's sending the cues that it needs to be sending, and that you guys are on the same team, and it makes everything more beautiful and easier, and allows you and your mind to let go of control and to accept reality. And the beautiful reality that you get to work together, and that's the only option for true health, mental, physical, all of that. So one thing you can start doing right now is start paying attention. Just start paying attention to what your body's trying to tell you. What is it communicating? I'm tired. I'm hungry. I need rest. I need movement. I need this specific food. I need you to allow me to go to the beach. I need you to allow me to have these experiences. I don't like when you constantly are shaming me in the mirror. What is it telling you? Start listening and start working together. Start practicing that. It's a beautiful thing. Super, super hard, often needs support and guidance, but just so beautiful to come home to your body. Very freeing. Community and connection. Community and connection, although I don't know if I should say it's absolutely a necessity, but pretty close. Having community and connection helps you to feel less alone, to feel more empowered, to feel more supportive, be able to hang in there, can provide you specialized support. You can heal within community and not alone. You can have someone witnessing that with you. So community and connection is just really quickens the pace, makes it to get to recovery, shortens that up, allows you to gather more resources and perspectives and specialized support. I mean, just so important. And community and connection is going to look different for everyone, and it doesn't need to look the same. It doesn't need to fit in this box, right? Because accessibility to specialized support may not be available to you, or you might not have as supportive of a community with your family and friends who may not understand disordered eating or who may even contribute to that disordered eating. So it's going to look different for everyone, but there's lots of options. And I want to talk about those options of community today. So when we're talking about community in recovery from body image distress and food distress, the first thing I think of is specialized treatment. And so specialized treatment can, with disordered eating and body image, you want to make sure you find a good fit. And specialized treatment, it contains a variety of different providers. We have therapists, we have recovery coaches, we have dietitians. I must highlight that one. We have dietitians, we have medical providers, we have psychiatrists, we have family therapists. There's a variety of providers. We just need to make sure they specialize in what we're looking for and they're a good fit for you. In addition to the specialized support, there is also the community of peers. So a support group, a Facebook group, forums, people who are going through the same thing, a program that, where everyone's going through the same journey. And so you feel less alone and you can share in your perspectives and empower each other, cheer each other on, and feel just less alone in the process. And then there's a community of peers and support who may not be in the process with you, but who can still be an ear, to listen, a hand, a hug, and that support of people who love and support you as a person, and can be there for you in this tough process. And having a member of all those communities, all those different subcategories of community, I think is extremely helpful. But I know it's not always accessible to everyone. But the reason for that is because all of these communities do different things, right? Your specialized team is going to be someone who's most likely has been there themselves before. A lot of providers have, and so they know what their journey feels like. Although every journey is different, they've helped lots of people through that journey toward full recovery. They have that specialized education that they continue to develop and learn about. They have that guidance and those tools to help you to get to that place. So they have that clinical knowledge, and that can help you get there a lot quicker, a lot easier with a lot of tools, with that specialized guidance. And then your community of peers, that's going to be very special in that you feel like you can connect to someone who gets it, who is there at the same time as you, going through something similar that you can confide in. And then you have your family support and your friend support or your close peer support that may know you better than anyone else. And they might be the ones who are the best able to give you that best needed hug or space, even if they're not specialized in how to help you or they're not there themselves. That's super important as well. So again, although it's one of the non-negotiables and it's not, sometimes these things aren't accessible to you, I would put it probably in the category of non-negotiable, because at least having someone, even like a blog or a podcast or Instagram inspiration is helpful, just having a community. And when I say that, it's not to replace treatment. Treatment is going to be the ideal, and trying to get specialized, accessible treatment is hopefully available to you. But there's lots of forms of community and lots of forms of support, and I highly recommend taking off as much of those as you are able to. Healing your relationship with movement. Healing your relationship with movement is very important, because that is one aspect that's usually very tied to how much people allow themselves to eat or their body control. And movement's a part of everyday life, and it can become extremely demanding and shaming and unsustainable. And having sustainable movement is very important to our health. And so anything that is tied to the disordered eating, the body image, the diet, anything with your relationship with food, it needs to be uncoupled and untied, because then forever, when you do movement or do not do movement, is going to be tied to food and body image. And so if you do all the work necessary around body image and around food, but you skip the movement, then this is going to keep you stuck. So if you're someone where exercise is tied to shame, control, calories, weight manipulation, all of that, and it's a distressing relationship with exercise, let's say you get super anxious if you have to skip a workout, then that is something that you should address for yourself personally. This doesn't apply to everyone, because not everyone has that as part of their disordered eating and disordered body image. But if it is, it's extremely imperative to do that work. Going all the way to the finish line and leaving no stone unturned. So I've worked with clients for over a decade, and being through recovery myself, we want to make sure that we overturn every rock that needs to be overturned to do all of the work. What happens when we leave a couple stones unturned, right? Like full trust in food, all foods, right? If we don't turn over that stone of being afraid of sugar, or whatever that fear food might be for you, that can come back in the future and pull us back into the disordered eating, maybe even stronger than it was before. If we leave that stone unturned for body image work and true deep body image work and all the different facets of body image work, maybe we do some, but we don't do some other, you are leaving that stone unturned to then potentially pull you back. And it also doesn't fully free you. When you turn every stone over, you are getting every ounce of freedom back to get 100% of your pie chart of energy and life back. Let me explain that for a second. When we're talking about the pie chart of our life and our energy, we have 100%, right? If it starts with 100%, many times people struggling with diet culture, disordered eating, body image, along that spectrum, they are spending 50% of their energy in a day on food, 30% on body image, 10% on maybe shameful exercise, and they might have 10% left for the rest of their life. Well, we want to get that pie chart to mostly life and very little food and body image, only in the way that's appropriate, right? In the way that's wanted, in the way that's aligned with your values. And so it doesn't take up as much space as it doesn't take up more space than it should. And so what happens when we go halfway through and we're kind of stuck in pseudo recovery and we're doing better, but we still fear a lot of different kinds of foods, say no to certain situations socially due to food, maybe aren't as intimate in our relationships as we want to and keep them at a hand's distance, really don't understand body image because we've never dove into the work. Well, then that might give you 60% of your energy back, but you still have 40% of your life. Calculate how many hours and how many days of that in your life given to distress around food and body image. And so one thing that I believe is a non-negotiable for full recovery is to make sure you go all the way, do all of the work, all of it. Dive in until you are feeling really solid. And one way you can ask yourself if you feel very solid, because it's something that when you know, if you feel like you've done a lot of work and you're still, you still have that thing inside of you saying, I still don't trust that, or I still hate this about my body, and those things are all consuming. It's not like a quick thing that just leaves. Then it's something to pay attention to. Where is there more work that I can do here? Can I work with someone who specializes in body image to help me learn more about this and to be more free with this? Where else do I need to maybe do some work with my relationship with food and become more of an intuitive eater or a normal eater, allow more myself to have more experiences with food that bring me joy, right? Question that and ask, is this exactly where I want to go, or do I want to go further? Because oftentimes, I keep people with me, working with me, until I know they turn that corner and I'm like, you do not need me anymore. You are, in this place of recovery where it's very clear and very evident, and we've done all the work necessary. And you feel that lightness, you feel that freedom, you feel that clarity. And so keep going. You deserve to continue to do the work until you are able to really fully breathe and experience the full freedom and joy that brings when you have full freedom with food and body image. So there you have it. Those are the 9 non-negotiables that I work with my clients on. And if you have those 9 down and you really explore those, you're going to completely transform your life in so many ways. So what I would say is, if you want more resources on the specific 9, comment on this video. I'll send you podcasts that I have. I can make more YouTube videos. What do you want to learn more about? I'm happy to share, but I already have a lot of free content. So head over to my YouTube, head over to my Instagram, DM me, reach out, and let's get you all the way there.